Watch your eyebrows. I got this $300 Dayton fan for free because this switch was broken. Obviously somebody yanky-lated way too hard on the chain, and this fan was destined to live its days in the scrapyard. But I fixed it, and here's how. Saving this old Dayton fan wasn't too difficult, as I had an idea the problem was only going to be the switch. However, in order to get to the switch, the rear case needs to come off to access it. To get the rear case off, first you need to remove the 15/16 nut that holds the switch in place. Then, the articulating arm will have to be disconnected, and that's done by removing the 3/8 bolt from the arm and the connecting rod. Next, there's a small 1/4 inch screw that will need to be removed from the back of the rear case. Now, the rear cap can be removed by just pushing the switch inside the cap and then rotating the cap until it can clear the articulating arm through the access hole. Now you have full access to the switch. Before you move any of the wires going to the switch, I want to show you a trick to remembering where all the wires go. As you can see, I have some pink construction paper that I temporarily borrowed from my daughter's art supplies. I'm using pink because, well, it looks cool, and when I draw out the wiring schematic, all the colors will be more identifiable. With no green wire, I chose to use green to rough sketch the switch, or Kilroy, because I'm definitely no artist. If you choose to draw out your own diagram and you have a top and bottom wire, make sure that you call that out in your diagram. So now that you know where all the wires go, you can remove the switch using any small pick to open the connectors that hold the wires in the switch. Now with the switch removed, we can move over to the 48-inch workbench. To split the switch in half, all you need to do is drill out the rivets that hold the switch together, which I've already done here. Then with this switch, the bottom connector cover can be removed, and then the main wiring cover can now be removed. Now you're left with the switch assembly itself. To split the switch, you need to rotate the threaded nut that holds the switch halves together along with the washer. Now this style of switch is spring loaded, so be careful when splitting the switch in half just in case the spring is in good condition like this one. And just as expected, the chain separated at some point and was so short that it retracted back into the switch assembly. To fix this issue, I purchased the longest extension chain my local hardware store sold, because I knew I would be hanging the fan up as high as possible in my garage. At this point, I'm making a big mistake that I don't realize until later. The black positional plate needs to be about 270 degrees from the opening to sit on its top. Because the spring needs to have tension on it, that means you have to rotate the switch halves when putting them back together. This isn't an easy task to do, as you see me try and try and try. Thankfully, I noticed that mistake I was talking about before I got the switch back together. There it is. Make sure you put the pull handle and connecting hardware on the pull chain before you assemble it. Once I got it assembled, this was probably the best noise I heard in the whole process. With the switch working internally, it was very promising that this would fix it. Now, just put it back together, and to secure the switch back together, replace the pop rivets, or mushroom some roll pins in the holes. Here's the extension chain attached, and the handle I chose was this Craftsman Made in USA socket. This is a 1/2 inch socket. I wasn't going to put the 10mm in because then I run the risk of this happening all over again. Now to make the runners to bolt the hanging bracket to. For my walls, the 2x6s are placed 24 inches apart on center, so 22 3/4 inch wide boards, that should work fine. To mount them, I'm going to use this awesome Craig jig setup. I set the drill stop to 1.5 inches, and I set the jig up to 1.5 inches as well. Now, the jig is clamped on the end of the board, and use some penetrating oil or 3-in-1 oil like you see here, just to help keep the bit cool and guide it through the jig. Once you got your holes, remove the jig, clean off the area, then flip the board around and do the same to the other side. In there nice and secure. Got the cap back on. Now I got to put the mount in. This is the mount that I bought for it because it didn't have a mount. So I got this piece over here. Come to the workbench. I've got these two braces that I'm going to mount to the wall. Mount that right there, and that's how it's going to go. So now that we got it hung up, it's time to test it. Watch your eyebrows. That's high. You alright? Thought I lost you there. Well, in the midst of me almost breaking my phone, as you can see, the fan does work. We have both speeds, and just by changing that switch, we're able to save this from the scrapyard so it can live a whole new life in this garage. And boy, does it move air. And honestly, changing this switch, it was a breeze. That was dumb. Going in the title, I'm Buddy. This is 2 Alpha Tools. Bye for now.